Duke Kilroy may be working for the Marshall family again, but behind the scenes he is becoming one of their biggest threats. With millions in drugs missing, a murder being blamed on the Russians, an undercover police operation closing in, and Kingsley Marshall still nowhere to be found, everyone is being pushed toward a war that somebody else is quietly engineering. The episode picks up with the police operation already in trouble. Simeon, their confidential informant inside the Marshall organization, was supposed to deliver a recording that could finally give them something useful, but he never arrives. Kim refuses to walk away because this case is personal. Her sister Rena disappeared, and Kim believes the truth is connected to Kingsley Marshall and his world. Lewis warns her that they are taking huge risks, but Kim sees another possible way in: Duke Kilroy. Duke used to be Kingsley's biggest fighter. He has just returned after 8 years in prison, and the Marshalls still trust him. If Kim can get close enough, she believes she might be able to turn him. What the police do not know is that Duke is already playing a much more dangerous game. Duke and his allies know the Marshalls are blaming Nikolai and the Russians for the missing shipment and the death of Nadim's son, Lorik. Instead of calming that conflict, Duke wants to make it worse. He decides the casino is the family's pressure point. If it is hit hard enough, it will cost them money, bring police attention down on Zeke and Sabella, and hopefully force the missing Kingsley out of hiding. The plan quickly escalates into using an explosive device. One of Duke's contacts warns that a famous former champion cannot quietly shop around for a bomb, so he agrees to arrange it for him. Duke is now preparing to attack the Marshall Empire while standing inside it as a trusted ally. Meanwhile, Sabella and Zeke are splitting over Duke. Sabella sees him as a liability. Zeke sees the opposite. Duke helped him make serious money at the last fight, and Zeke thinks he can use him to push the boxing business forward. Sabella meets Nikolai directly. She tells him their drugs are still missing, and Nadim believes the Russians murdered Lorik. Nikolai denies ordering the killing, but admits Sergei, his ex-FSB enforcer, is capable of that kind of brutality. He even suggests Sergei has become a liability. The meeting also makes clear that Sabella and Nikolai's relationship is far more intimate than either side would want exposed. At the same time, Duke is being pulled back toward the life he claims he no longer wants. Veteran promoter Coleman shows him the contract Duke almost signed 8 years earlier and offers to get his damaged hand treated by the best doctors. Duke says his hand is not the problem. Prison changed him, and after 8 years inside, he believes there is more to life than boxing. That does not stop Zeke. Zeke meets Legacy Boxing and pitches his vision of bringing excitement back to the sport. The meeting goes so well that they offer a multi-fight agreement, but there is one condition: they want Duke back in the ring. Zeke immediately promises he can deliver him and pushes the offer into a 6-fight deal, even though Duke has never agreed to return. While Zeke plans Duke's comeback, Kim quietly works her way closer to him at the gym. She asks questions about Kingsley and even fishes for information about a private villa connected to him. Sabella, meanwhile, is checking CCTV for any sign of the missing Simeon, making Kim's position even more dangerous. Kim gets Duke alone, and their flirtation turns personal when he notices the letter R tattooed on her body. Kim tells him it stands for Rena, her missing sister. The name visibly rattles Duke. He tries to hide it, then suddenly finds a reason to leave. Later, Kim casually asks when he last saw Simeon. Duke says they only talked about boxing at the open workout and that he took a cab back to Gaza's afterward, but Duke is lying. The truth surfaces when Lewis brings Kim to the morgue. Simeon's body has been recovered from the Thames. He was stabbed and dumped in the river. Lewis immediately pulls Kim from the operation. Their source has been murdered, their meeting was compromised, and staying inside the Marshall world is now too dangerous. Kim refuses. She still believes she can flip Duke and use him to get to Kingsley. At almost the same moment, Duke learns that Simeon's body has resurfaced. He angrily confronts the man who was supposed to make the problem disappear. Worse, Duke is shown a photograph of Lewis and warned that a female officer is involved too. He now knows the police are much closer than they should be. Duke then uses his growing access to the Marshalls to move the casino plan forward. Zeke invites him inside, thanks him for helping with the previous fight, and starts pushing him about a boxing comeback. When the conversation turns to Calvin, Duke admits prison gave him years to think about the past. Zeke asks whether part of him still wants his title back, and Duke finally admits that maybe he does. Zeke invites him to Aiden's birthday party at the casino. For Zeke, this is about bringing an old champion back into the family. For Duke, it gives him exactly what he needs: access. At the party, the Marshall power struggle gets worse. Zeke confronts Sabella over a £10 million property purchase and says major movements of family money will need his approval while Kingsley is gone. Then he proudly announces the legacy boxing deal, only to reveal that it depends on getting Duke back in the ring. Sabella immediately sees the problem. Zeke is making promises around a man neither of them truly controls. Duke, meanwhile, jokes with young Aiden, works the room, and quietly studies the restricted areas of the casino. What looks like a social visit is actually reconnaissance. When the explosive finally arrives, even one of Duke's own allies is horrified by the target. He thought they were going after a warehouse, not a casino. Duke insists the device will be planted in a closed-off section and no civilians will be hurt, but his partner refuses to believe a bomb can be controlled that cleanly. He invokes Calvin and walks away from the plan. Duke's anger then spills into a confrontation with Gaza. Gaza accuses him of trying to poach his fighter Rox, while Duke fires back that Gaza has not changed at all. He says the gym is still the same place that damaged both him and Calvin. The argument nearly turns violent before Duke leaves. Across town, Sabella presses Nikolai about Sergei and wants the problem handled that night, cleanly. But before anything happens, she receives devastating news. Simeon has been found dead. Then Duke launches the casino operation. He and his remaining accomplice enter the restricted service area, place the explosive, and start a 5-minute countdown. Their plan depends on the area being empty, but a security guard is still at his post. Duke refuses to simply leave him there. With time disappearing, they try to lure the guard away, then overpower him when that fails. Seconds later, the device detonates and tears through the back section of the casino. The attack works exactly the way Duke wanted. Zeke and Sabella are hit with 2 shocks almost at once. Simeon is dead, and their casino has been bombed. To them, the pattern looks obvious. The missing drugs, Lorik's murder, Simeon's death, and now the casino attack all seem to point toward Nikolai. Zeke wants retaliation immediately. Sabella demands proof, but the family is already being pushed toward war. After the bombing, Duke returns to the gym, where the woman from his past comes to see him. The tension between them finally breaks, and they become intimate again, giving Duke another emotional connection to the life he left behind. Then, Zeke arrives unexpectedly and tells Duke about the bombing. Duke pretends to be shocked even though he caused it. When Zeke says Sabella wants to talk to Nikolai, Duke pushes him in the opposite direction. He tells Zeke that talking is weakness and that an attack on the Marshall name demands a response. Then Duke asks the question his entire plan was designed to force: why not call Kingsley? That is when Zeke reveals the family's biggest secret. He and Sabella have been pretending they are still in contact with their father, but the truth is they have no idea where Kingsley Marshall is. He could be hiding, missing, or even dead. Duke finally has confirmation that Kingsley cannot simply be summoned back, but Zeke refuses to look weak. Instead, he decides he will deal with the Russians himself. Duke has successfully turned a bombing he committed into a reason for Zeke to launch a war against Nikolai. In the final scene, Zeke and Duke drive out together with no backup. Zeke believes Duke is beside him to defend the Marshall family. Duke knows the truth. He is riding beside a man he has just manipulated into attacking an enemy who had nothing to do with the casino blast. The episode ends with the Marshall Empire moving closer to open war, Kim refusing to abandon her hunt for Rena, and Duke caught between revenge, the police, his past, and the boxing world, trying to pull him back into the ring.